Hello, I'm Vanessa.
And I'm Tim, and thanks for joining us at Meeting Place.
We are so glad to have you guys.
We're excited for today.
Today we're going to discuss the public's eye and what that means in Scripture. So I'm going to dive into Matthew chapter 6, 1 through 4. And I'm going to read just a few Scripture verses for you and then pull them out. It says, "Be careful not to practice your righteousness in front of others to be seen by them. If you do, you will have no reward from your Father in heaven." And I'm going to repeat the beginning of that scripture verse again. Be careful not to practice your righteousness in front of others. You know, in this verse, it's taken literally too many times in the church.
Sure.
You know, Jesus was in the public's eye for the majority of his ministry. There were crowds following him. He did miracles, signs, and wonders. He was with the 12 disciples nearly the entire time.
Yeah, 3 years.
So he wasn't alone doing miracles privately. It was usually in public settings. Now, there were moments where he did do private healings and miracles, but for the majority, he was in the public's eye. You know, right in the scripture, God is talking about our heart.
Yeah.
He's wanting us to examine our heart and why are we doing what we're doing? And did the Lord ask us to do that act? We need to be asking ourselves these questions when we go out and about.
I love the scripture in 1 John where it says, actually it's Jesus speaking, and he says, "I only do what the Father tells me to do." And so he's not just going around doing whatever, but he's actually at a place in his life where he recognizes the voice of the Lord, and he's only doing what the Lord tells him to do.
Yeah, and that's in public and private settings.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing we can do is ask ourselves, do a heart check. Righteousness in this scripture means acting in accord with divine or moral law, the quality of being morally right or justifiable. Jesus is righteous. He was righteous, he is righteous, he always will be. And everything he did was justifiable. It was for a purpose. We can have that righteousness if we remain in him.
That's key.
Right? Because righteousness comes from God. How do we get to God? Through Christ. And if we remain in him, we become righteous. Righteousness is also a reward. It's a gift. But we can't give it to ourselves. In this scripture, it says, be careful not to practice your righteousness. Your righteousness is not true righteousness because it doesn't come from you or me. And Jesus is pointing out, don't focus so much on the public's eye, focus on your heart's eye.
Yeah. That scripture that says, first pull the plank out of your own eye before you get the speck of dust out of your neighbor's. It's all about making sure your heart posture is where it needs to be, making sure your heart is right and you have the right motives.
That's right. Absolutely. So if you are doing things for the attention of your family, your friends, your neighbors, your community, your coworkers, and you want them to take note of everything you do, it was never about the act anyway. It was always about you. And God knows this. And he's trying to warn us the path that this leads to. This is negative attention, and it puffs you up and destroys your character. When your ego is built up, your character decreases.
They can't coexist in the same space.
They're not equal.
Wow.
And God only wants good things for us, right? He wants our character to be good, to be noble, for us to walk in integrity, to walk honorably. And if you're walking with an ego that's about to explode, that's not beneficial to you or anybody. So we all know people like this. I know quite a few people like this, and I don't like being around them. I mean, they go unchecked for years, and you can't even have a normal conversation with them.
Sure.
And Jesus is saying, don't be like them. Be careful, be watchful.
And if I'm catching what you're saying here, it's not that we don't go out at all. It's that when we do go out, we go out with the right heart posture, with the right motives, because even in Scripture, Jesus says, and when you do good things, people will see them and give glory to Him. And then Scripture also says that God shares His glory with no man. And so if we're going at this in order to give God glory and not ourselves, that is another way to show us that we have the right heart posture, is that Jesus gets the glory. And yeah, people may congratulate you, or people may say, well done, or people may say, wow, that was great what you did. But we know in our hearts, our strength comes from the Lord, and it's all about giving Jesus glory.
It's about why you're doing it.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to go out and do what God has called you to do, because that's what Jesus is saying. Go about and do what the Father is telling you to do, but just watch your heart. Every single day, every step you take, just watch your heart. This is about heart check, not about being in the public's eye. So you guys, I hope this encourages you. I hope this brings light and understanding to the Scripture. And we can't wait for you to join us again.
See you next time.
Bye.